Today, I want to welcome Johanna White. And, those that know my story know that I shouldn't be here, that I've been given a second chance at life. And Johanna is also such a person that, when I asked her, I said, what do you want? And she said, I feel like I've been given a second chance at life. And I want to inspire people with that. What a noble mission. So let me tell you a little bit about Johanna. Um, Although she has a German name, she was born here in America and lives in Michigan. Johanna is an award-winning graphic designer and visual branding strategist who designs premium brand identities that create impact first impressions. As the founder of Design by Joe Studio, she believes that if someone is the best at what they do, they deserve to look like it. For the last decade, she's worked with everyone from individuals to Fortune 200 brands worldwide to help magnetize their dream opportunity clients and investors and to be as delightfully expensive as they deserve to be. And you know what? That's a principle I absolutely love. If you're a coach, consultant, or whatever you do, my goal is for you to be the most expensive in your category. And that sounds like that's Johanna's goal. And we're going to learn about that here in a second. These days, Johanna is on a mission to help other driven founders fully capture their uniqueness, level up their legacy, and embody their limitless potential. Johanna, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, we chatted probably way too much in the green room, and I'm just for those that are listening, you're in for a treat. This is just going to be an amazing discussion. It's going to inspire you, and let's kind of jump back to something. Just really well. First off, let's understand the name. So you have a German name, but you were born in America. What happened there?
I think my mom was just feeling like, our family was a little too Midwestern looking sounding. John, Teresa, Sarah had me, and she thought, what would be great if no one could ever pronounce this baby's name right for the rest of her life. I would like to bless her with that gift. I'm just kidding. My dad's name is John, and they wanted to name me after him. And so they picked the distant ancestral German background form of John, which is Johann, and went with Johanna. And it's been a crapshoot ever since as to when I meet someone, whether they will get it right. It usually depends on whether they heard it first or read it first. If they read it first, most of them are going to pronounce it unless they're from Germany or South Africa.
Well, that happened to me. I mean, I knew how to pronounce your name, but when I was introducing you, sure enough, I say Johanna, and
Yep.
it's just I spent a lot of time in Northern Europe, and I know when I see the J over there, pronounce it like a Y, but it's hard, in a lot of its context, and so I would imagine that was really tough growing up, and just constantly, no, that's not how my name's pronounced.
It was a little bit annoying, but as a kid, it taught me when it mattered to correct someone and to stand up for something about yourself and your identity, or when it really didn't matter and it wasn't going to change the outcome. Honestly, I think the part that got me the most was I could never find my name on a keychain or an ornament or a mug or a sweatshirt or any of the cute girly things that the middle schoolers would run around with their name on everything. I'd go spin the little caddy at the shop and there was never ever a Johanna.
Yeah. Wow. So, you obviously write a little bit about my story, and one of the for those that are listening and not viewing, that I've got a big scar across my lip, and that's something that when I look in the mirror every day, it's a reminder that I shouldn't be here. That I should have died back in August to September of 2021. You've got a similar story, and honestly, I know almost nothing about it. So what happened?
Well, um, let's roll back the time about 10 years. I was working in the design world, but at a very low level marketing firm, working a very low level marketing job. I was doing a little bit of branding, but not really, not doing any work that mattered. I was in this toxic environment, but I was thinking I'll just stick this out for a while and then eventually I'll go get another job and I'll go climb the ladder and I'll work my way to an agency in New York and I will take on the branding world that way because I've got all the time in the world. And I, up till that point, had pretty much let fear make all of the decisions in my life. I played it safe. I was the good girl. I did everything right. And I made all my choices by minimal risk, which meant as far as success in life went, I was very mediocre because I didn't try. And I always had this feeling like I was capable of greatness and capable of more, but I was afraid to fail. So I didn't test the waters there. And then one night, out of the blue, I woke up with a pounding migraine that lasted for 3 days. And when it went away, I was left with sudden onset of paralysis down my left side, choking when I would try to swallow, couldn't really talk, vocal cords were collapsed, muscles along my neck and throat looked like someone had scooped them out with an ice cream scoop, just atrophied overnight. And I went from being physically very fit and strong and healthy, and again, having done everything right, to suddenly my body has completely betrayed me and I don't know what just happened. And we went to the ER where they ran a scope down my throat and then didn't find any obstacles. So they told me I was imagining it, that this was some sort of psychological issue.
Mm.
Then
Oh.
bounced to an ear, nose, and throat person who kind of put the symptoms together as these have to do with your cranial nerves. So he sent me to a neurologist who then sent me to a neurosurgeon. They did CAT scans and MRIs. And finally, after chasing this thing for more time than you would think it would take based on how life debilitating the symptoms were, a few weeks later, I get a call at like 8 o'clock at night, and the doctor tells me we found a mass. And they didn't tell me much more than that. And I asked all the questions because, again, I had spent the first part of my life controlling everything around me. And even if it didn't turn out great, at least I felt like I was in control of my outcomes. And so I want to know, what does this mean? Am I going to die? What can we do about it? What's the next steps? All of this stuff. And he just had to keep telling me, I don't know. The results are inconclusive. We need to do more tests. We need a brain biopsy, all of these things. And so that moment was the moment that my life went from safe, certain, and totally like just okay to completely flipped upside down, suddenly realizing I'm not actually in control of very much at all, and spiraling into uncertainty and fear. Like I'd lived my whole first 25 years of my life in fear of nothing, fear of the future, fear of what could happen. Now suddenly I had a very real target for that fear and I latched onto it and just went completely like, what is going to happen to me? But I discovered in that moment that I was also very resilient and very determined. And that was the kick in the pants that I needed to say, if I don't know how long I have left, and I don't know if I'm going to live or die, and the doctors don't know if I'm going to live or die, and they don't know if they can help me, and no one knows, then I look around at my life, I look around at my job, I look around at what I'm doing and realize this can't be it. I cannot go out like this. I cannot die having left so much of me on the table. That is not okay. And
And
suddenly,
yeah, and let me jump in real quick. And maybe you're getting to this. This tumor, was it malignant or benign or?
the results are inconclusive
Oh,
again. They did a full brain biopsy, drilled into my skull with a needle to find out that very thing. Is it malignant? Is it benign? And came back with, oh, the sample wasn't big enough, but we don't want to risk drilling it again. The results are still inconclusive. We could not find out a single helpful thing about this. And so it started off where it feel like at that moment my life split into three parallel timelines. what was happening on the outside in the health area, the trips to the doctors, the MRIs, the knowing or not knowing, what was happening to my life and my heart, and this sudden desire to live now or never, and to step into what I was capable of now, because who knows if there is later. And then what was happening on the third tier, which was under the surface, and that was from the mindset and spiritual level. And different things were happening on each of them at the same time. So on the surface, I was bouncing from surgeon to surgeon. One would examine me, say, I don't know, it's kind of risky. Maybe I can't help you. Maybe this guy can. They'd bounce me to the next one. It'd take a good 6 months to get an appointment with that surgeon. Meanwhile, I'm like, I can't survive like this. On the work side, I quit my job 2 weeks after I was diagnosed, walked out the door down the street and started knocking on business doors, popped my head in if someone was home that looked like they knew something about something, and saying, hey, I'm Johanna. I design stuff. Do you need stuff designed? And literally like Mary Kay ladying my way downtown, finding freelance design work. I started my company with a whopping 8 hours of promised work on the clock. That was enough. Filed the LLCs. Like, we are taking this by storm, because I knew that I had two options. One, everyone was telling me to do, which was you can quit your job, you can go on Medicaid and let them pay for the mountains of debt we're pretty sure you're about to accrue from your surgeries and medical bills, hundreds of thousands or $1 million in surgeries. Probably better do that because you don't have great insurance and you need help. Or I knew that I could keep working as long as I was still able, but switch my focus to doing work that actually mattered and that gave me something to look at besides just this fear and this focus of I'm sick.
You
And
know,
also,
well, and let me jump in. I mean, when you say, millions of dollars of debt, people have trouble picturing that, but it is so incredibly real. I mean, I was in 3 hospitals. The first hospital I was in for